Hello, and thank you for joining us today. Marcella is not present today. She is off in the mountains skiing, experiencing Mother Nature. And so it's Heather and I, and we're going to embark on the wonderful subject of boulders today. But before we start, I would really, really love to hear about your adventures or how it went with the one-on-one gazing into another beloved's eyes, right? Um, yeah. How did it go? I can just tell you, around here, my family's used to this when I ask them. So I asked a neighbor, um, yeah, you can see the discomfort and the at first, and then there's after a few minutes, there's just this release and an engagement, and you just keep staring until there's this blurriness, if you will, and with the awareness that the eyes are to the portal of the soul, and you're gazing with this intention, this love, right? And because of our social norms and because of the boundaries that we create, this is a process that we need to keep practicing because this is a consciousness and a state of mind of love that we are working towards. That, from since I've started this, I can just tell you I am more in this frequency of love than I was how many years ago. And so your goal is to increase this, right? And so, yeah, I encourage you, you know, if you're a Girl Scout leader, do it with your girls, or a Boy Scout leader, do it with your boys, or if you're a teacher, do it with your kids. The younger we start, the sooner. And I know it's touch and go with how much you can share about the soul or whatever, but get them used to it, right? Um, yeah. And then same for the adults, wherever you're at, whatever group you got, just challenge them, right? So today we're going to embark on boulders. And what I want to say to you, and I was sharing this with Heather, another word for this is triggers. And this is really imperative and an important chapter. So I really encourage you, and hopefully you're showing up having read the chapter. Now you're going to listen and participate and comment in the comments about the session, and then go reread this again because this is a very, very important chapter. Boulders are just an obstruction from our flow and our connection to the divine that we are, to our monad, to word. Okay. And so the chapter starts off talking about thinking, right? And thinking is a basis for creation. Well, that's pretty scary if you think about it. Because if you've got a random mind that you're just allowing to freely flow, and you've grown up in a negative environment, and that's all you know, well, that's what you're creating. And you're wondering, what's with my life? Now, I'm going to give you an example, and we're going to go back to this example as we apply this chapter, okay? How a boulder is created, okay? And there once was this beloved child, and she was 2 years old. She was one of three, and her mother had just gotten home from the hospital, had a baby, her third baby, and so she was experiencing postpartum depression. And the 2-year-old little girl spilled her milk, and her mother lost her shit and started beating this child. Well, this little girl decided with this, because she didn't have the intellect, right? She decided, I'm not good enough. Look at me. I can't even drink my own milk without spilling it. Okay. Now, do you see how the thinking creates these patterns, creates your reality? Because now she's decided she's just not good enough, right? Okay. So that's just an example of how it perpetuates into adulthood, right? Okay, now that was 2 years old. Now she's 5 years old and she's climbing on a ladder um, that's holding a badminton, um, what do you call it? Can't think of the name, right?
And that
Thank you, dear. Net. And the ladder falls. She goes flying and breaks her leg. And her grandparents, they're the caretakers at the time. They're both very fearful and angry at her. And she feels like it's all directed at her. And once again, she's revisiting the pattern of thinking, I'm just not good enough. Look at me. Can't even stay on a ladder and balance, right? And so I could go on and on with the different events that this child had all the way up to her adulthood. But now she's in her adulthood and she doesn't even realize it's just so subtle because of the way and the patterns, the way she thinks in her brain, that she just automatically is not good enough for any scenario that comes up. Okay. Now that's a boulder, and a boulder can be very layered. You know, we're talking about 2 years old, 5 years old, and then yada, yada, yada. Okay. So we've identified what this is. Hopefully you can see how, with thinking, you continue to create these patterns in your life, right? Okay. So now we're going to talk about the boulder. The boulder is just an obstruction in your consciousness, right? And it obstructs or keeps you from achieving the higher frequency of your Christ consciousness, of word. Okay. Because, of course, the um, frequency of I'm not good enough is way down here, and word is way up here. Okay. So we can go on talking about this situation. And so what I want to share with you was when I started reading the chapter now, and I've been doing the work for a long time, right? And I decided, okay, with each of these juicy attunements and intentions and prayers that the guides gave us, oh, this is good. I'm going to revisit this, right? And I'm just feeling peachy. My meditation's gone good. Well, y'all, what I did was I invited in confirmation of this work that I've been doing. So 5 minutes after I finished reading the chapter, and now I'm going to start my day, just one thing after another started occurring. And I'm like, what the heck is this? What? And so immediately I stopped. I stopped. And at first I was going into thinking. And I'm like, well, geez, where have I felt? No, and then I stopped, right? Because I don't want to go down that rabbit hole of plummeting my frequencies, right? Because this event I know is just part of the illusion or part of the matrix. It has nothing to do with the bigger picture of my Christ consciousness. So immediately I picked up the book and I started repeating some of the affirmations and intentions, right? And put it down. Okay, that's all that's happening. Walked away. Now, keep in mind, I've kind of invited this in for today because I'm all cocky. I'm ready to talk to y'all and about it and everything. I've been doing the work for years. Like me and my beloved divine, we are connected. We are creating the good today. Oh no, no, no. More came up today. And so then at that point, I just started creating my own intentions. word I am word through the way that I'm feeling right now. Word I am word at dismantling whatever residual is left from this boulder. Word I am word. Because I knew with the God in action, divine in action, I knew this in my being that it would dismantle all of this. I knew it. And it was just, and what I had done is I invited it up to be cleared. And I also knew I didn't need to think. I didn't need to go back to the story of how this happened, right? Old paradigm, right? And they say that in the book. We used to go back and relive the story, figure out what happened, like I did. I did a lot of work prior to reading this book. So, I knew what happened to me at this age. I knew what happened to me. And that's how I used to do it, right? But now I know, not going there, not thinking. And I just hit these intentions. I just call on the divine in action that I am over and over and over again, right? And eventually, sometimes rapidly, yesterday was a little more trying. It's like, man, did I really invite these lessons in? But I just kept on with the due diligence, doing one um, prayer, one intention after the other. Okay. Now, what we're going to talk about is the dismantling of the boulder, right? And that's going to start on page 147. And so we want to, and I'm skipping far ahead because I feel like I've set a tone or kind of told you a story up until now, right? I really want you to go back with everything that I'm telling you and sharing with you, and I want you to reread this chapter, okay? And I also want you, as you go through the flow of these with us, really copy every one of these attunements and prayers and place them everywhere. Have them in your wallet, your purse, wherever you go, because at the beginning, there's just a lot of boulders that do come up. And it's not it's a good thing because it's just coming up to be cleared. That's all that's happening, right? You're not this horrible person that can't seem to get it right. All that's happening is this stuff is coming up to be cleared up. And you do this by using word, the action of the divine, plain and simple. And so when we start off with 147, you'll see it's kind of a process how they introduce you and start the process of eliminating the boulder. Okay. And knowing right prior to it, you know how I was telling you, there's different events that occur in your lifetime that have this one theme. And for this child, it was, well, I'm not good enough. I just don't measure up. Gonna spill my milk, gonna, not balance on a ladder and break my leg. And I could go on and on and on with the stories. Okay, so page on 147, it talks about how all these add-ons cement in this boulder, right? And it just makes it solid, right? So we're going to start off with allowing a healing or a clearing of my consciousness from this loop that I'm in, that it has to be this way. And so we're on page 147. Heather's going to take us into the intention and the attunement, and I just invite you, beloved, to just open up to the alchemy and to the magic that the guides bring to the table on this. It's really miraculous when you can just let go.
Okay. I choose this one thing now that I am going to undertake to clear from my consciousness once and for all. And I am going to affirm this. In my intention to release this pattern of, and you can fill in the blank, I am now willing to undertake the exercise that follows. In this work, I will become actively engaged in the focus and responsibility of my own healing through my understanding that it is my will in alignment with the will of my Creator that supports me in choosing to release that which creates my pain. I do this now with the understanding that I will have to see the pain that I am releasing, and I must address it clearly and with light. I do this now with the intention to remove myself from the role of victim that may perpetuate this pattern and give me solace on any level. I affirm that I am releasing any blame attached to the creation of this pattern that supports me in holding it to me to affirm my worthlessness or my rage or my entitlement to my anger. I choose today, once and for all, to decide I can change my life for good. I affirm this now in the highest frequency available to me in my present state of awareness of my Christed self. I am word through this intention. Word, I am word.
Right. So just take a breath and know that the whole purpose of this was you have just created a basis for the clearing that you are about to undertake, right? Because we're inviting all of this in. So when the discomfort occurs, the first thing you're going to do is go use this intention. And what happened was the guides have dismantled the initial structure of the boulder. In a way, we have replaced one thing with another, right? You know the saying, you have to make space for the new, right? So we have replaced passivity with action. We're no longer going to allow that feeling of insignificance. I'm not good enough, whatever it may be. We're no longer going to be allowing that passive whatever to occur. And we're replacing it with an action that we have chosen to create, a way to clear in what you need to clear in fullness and in light, right? Now that's just plain and simple. That is what's going on. And this is happening on a cellular level. This is happening within your auric field. You know, go revisit the chapter and just know and breathe in to the miracle that's occurring. Okay. Now, one thing we tend to do, and I know this so well, is, and these are my words. This wasn't the guide's words. Maybe you'll identify with me and maybe you won't. Maybe you'll think, what the? But I became addicted to the pain, the drama of the pain, right? Because those were familiar emotions to me. And so when I first started this, it was so foreign to feel at peace or joy. It's not that I didn't feel it, it's just that I didn't feel it in duration, right? And so if I'm addicted to this drama of pain 24/7, because that's how I've been raised, it can feel very disconcerting, right? Because now we've eliminated the very structure of it and it's not there anymore. But I'm used to it, right? Okay, so now we're going to go to another way of clearing, and we're going to address the creation of the pain part of it that needs to, you know, it just needs some extra attention regarding this. Okay, so we're on page 150. You want to read it for us, Heather?
Yep. I am word through this thing I see before me. Word, I am word. I am word through this creation of pain that I have manifested for whatever reasons that is now obstructing my spiritual growth. I am now choosing to relinquish any and all attachments to this patterning of pain and all that it has created in my life. I am now willing to achieve a Christ consciousness that does not align to this pain, but clears it from my cellular memory, from my auric field, from my awareness and from my physical reality in perfect ways. I am a creator working in tandem with the great creator. I am a light working with the great light. And I am a Christ working with the great Christ in frequency. I am in alignment now with the vibration of the word, and I choose to release this boulder of pain in a perfect way that will result in my creator self, my creative self working through this issue quickly, easily, and with consciousness. I am word through this intention. Word, I am word.
And so this states the intention that the word is working through you to bring this into consciousness and then into manifestation in the physical realm. It sets in motion those events and those experiences that will be needed to support you in this clearing. So get ready, because these opportunities are going to occur, right? It sets in the motion those events and those experiences that will be needed to support you in this clearing, right? It will not do the work for you. Kind of sucks, right? But it will embellish and set you on the path to work through this frequency in perfect ways. So when I am triggered now, I no longer go into the pain, or I may feel the pain briefly, but I'm immediately questioning, what's this about? I'm not going into, oh, here we go again. I'm going, what's this about? And if I find myself faltering, I'm immediately going into the power of word. I'm immediately tapping in to the divine frequency. Okay. And so expect and just know that if you start feeling funky, these are just opportunities of practice for you, right? Because this alchemization is occurring with you right now. And so just this, it's going to start happening. It's kind of like, you know how change is kind of, oh, when you move or when you go to another school or change your job, just any kind of change, right? Once you remove the familiarity, it's kind of like, what do I do with this? Right? That's what's going on. And we don't have to make any drama of it. We go to the beautiful attunements and intentions and prayers that the guides have given us. Okay? Now, I want you, I'm not really going to focus on these pages from 151 to 158. I want you to go and I want you to explore them. Because what this is really doing is giving you different circumstances or scenarios, right? And you're going to revisit, why are you doing this? You know, and we're doing this, right? Because we want to be the conduit for the creator, right? Because we want to be this free-flowing channel for the higher energy. So go revisit these pages and you know, relive the questions, visit with the questions that Paul asks. All right. Now, the very last, let's see, it's not this, the second to last one that we're going to visit. This one is on page 159. And this is affirming, now you're far enough into this. And now it's just time again to reaffirm that you are the divine and that you do want to acknowledge and immerse yourself in your Christ itself. So it's just a reaffirmation, if you will. Okay. So now we've gone all through this. We've covered all the different scenarios for dissolving the boulder, removing the boulder, allowing the process to occur. Stay diligently on course, committed to this. And we say this.
I am willing now to stand firm in my willingness to see that which I need to clear once and for all to bring me into alignment with my own Christed self. I am willing to become aware of those behaviors and those patterns, those belief systems, those boulders of pain that stand in the way of my achievement and my design as a Christed being come into form. I affirm now that I am being supported in this release in perfect ways by the energies, the powers, the guides, and the teachers who are working on the passage into Christed self-awareness and achievement. And I do this now with joy and with willingness. I am word through this intention. Word, I am word.
There you go. And so now, when any of those crunchies pop up or any of this, why am I? You're committed now, right? You're going to make it your intention to revisit these, not the drama, but to get back on track, right? So we talked about pain. Another one we're going to talk about is suffering, okay? Oh, maybe else. I mean, the stereotypical yada yada. I'm not going into it, but you can always tell there are different beloveds. And you know what? I'm throwing that out there. I myself experienced this where you identify. You identify with maybe your illness. What would you be without your illness? What kind of attention would you get? Your whole life, you've only known people to give you attention when you're sick, or you're suffering, you know, you're always the sad one. Nothing ever goes right for you. Do you see where I'm going with this? Suffering too can be an addiction. And so we're going to say to you, just like the pain, suffering is a creation, and those who suffer actually are benefiting and gaining energy from what they are producing. Otherwise, it would not be so. Now, that was a hard pill for me to swallow. But once I was like, well, just cracked that little bit going, what if they're right? What have I got to lose to explore this, right? It was a little hard on my ego to think that that's what I was doing. But once what if, I turned that little wonder switch on. I wonder what it would be like if I would address this or explore it. Okay. And now we're going to go to page 163, and we're going to visit that attunement. Okay.
Okay. I am word through my intention to now release myself from any energies that are externalized or have been created by me that operate independently from my own consciousness. This may be impacting me in a negative way. I am now choosing to release any and all parasitic energies that I may be holding in my frequency that are not mine. They are inherited culturally or have been given to me or created by me in any lifetime for any reason. I am now resolved that I am being supported in the release of by my guides and teachers, and that I am cleared perfectly of any negativity that has created suffering and the pattern of suffering in my life. I am word to this intention. Word, I am word.
Yeah. And, I gave you one example of suffering, another maybe culturally or whatever. Little boys heard man up. I always heard, oh, you're so sensitive. Um, Catholicism, offer it up to the Lord. I could go on and on and on, but it's about whatever your journey is, go explore how I bought into this energy of suffering and made it part of my life, right? So, um, yeah, this is really interesting when they say human beings can create frequency that operates independently from us, right? We are powerful, powerful creators. So really get in tune with what it is that you want to create. This is just information that we were never privy to. And we were taught generation after generation how to dwell in life. And unbeknownst to us, we created the same shit show. Even when we were like just determined, that's not me, that's not going to be me. I remember the first time when I left Austin, Texas, and I moved to Kansas City. It wasn't what a month into here, and I'm like, I'm going through the same crap. What the heck? But I didn't have I had the awareness that it was happening, but I didn't have the skill set to stop it. I didn't know anything about programming, right? And so we're going to finish this off with another beautiful little attunement or intention, and it's on page 165.
Before I read this, Mary, I just wanted to make a quick comment.
Yeah,
I,
go.
I mean, just in a generalized term, I think to make it real simple, to ask yourself, what is the story you've hung on to, whether it's generational, whether it's something that happened to you, whether it's an illness, and know that you have the power in the creation and you're backed by the guides and by Christ and by everything to change that story. One of the words we use a lot is paradigm. You can completely change your paradigm. You just need to recognize what this boulder or this story was, the unease it brings you,
Yeah,
and just create, you're filling that void with a whole new story. And you mentioned how sometimes making a move, it's or going to a new school, there is an unease and uncomfortableness, but then slowly but surely that you have a new normal. So you're releasing your old normal and you're going to fill it with a brand new normal. It's just up to you what your new normal is. And hopefully you're going to choose wellness, or you're going to choose prosperity, or you're going to choose joy and happiness. That can become your new paradigm as long as you just recognize and don't hang on to what your old story is. You have to make room for the new.
right,
So that's what I take from this is we have the power to create and change paradigms any way we choose. And knowing we have a team of guides and Christ consciousness and everything to do so.
right.
So with that, I'm going to read
Mhm.
the final attunement. We want you to see yourself standing before yourself as perfect, as a perfect creation with no embellishments. We ask you to see yourself idealized, your perfect body, your perfect physical health, your perfect emotional state, the perfect smile on your face, the being that you truly are in perfection as realized before you. We want you to spend time observing this person. We want you to imprint this image of this person, of this perfect person in your consciousness. We want you to experience them first tonight or something as something that you see outside of yourself from every angle. See yourself before you, naked in your perfection, glowing, beautiful in your wonder and your wisdom, as the perfect creation that you are intended to be. That's your new story.
Right. So remember, last the last chapter, we bestowed all this love onto any beloveds we saw. Well, now it's time for you to do the same for yourself, right? And know you are perfection, total perfection. You're just experiencing some humanity, some areas where we just got off track and we just forgot. And the guides in Sea Lake, they're just here to remind you of your divinity. And they're here to give you, attunements. Just know that they're in the background working on this, alchemizing all of this for you. But you have to show up. And the example I gave you is I didn't go back into the story, right? I didn't cry and start feeling like this victim anymore now. Now I'm like, what? Huh? Right? And the beauty of it is I've surrounded myself with people who do the same. And we talk through it with each other. you know? And so Heather and I are just here to remind you of how perfect you are, how loved you are, right? So, well, loves, that's it for today. Till next week. If you like the content, would you please consider joining us and liking this particular week's show? And we thank you for your support. Goodbye.
Bye.